the world on fire.
Welcome everyone to the next episode of The Foley of Man. My name is Chris, and with me here today,
Robert.
And today we're going to be looking at Chapter 12 of the, long ongoing series of Project Horizons.
Yeah, Fallout Equestria Project Horizons.
Which has been kind of ongoing because it's been kind of months past where we should be.
When did we start Project Horizons? And we're on Chapter 12 now?
I don't want to remember.
How many chapters are in Project Horizons?
I blame COVID. It was the Rona.
Though I was going to say, neither of us have had the Rona.
No, it was the Rona. The lockdowns.
I'm just dealing with a disease of a different variety. It's called a newborn baby.
Yeah, that.
So the crux of this show, for those of you who are unaware and maybe joining us for the first time, Chris here, my lovely chum here, is a Brony, what we call a Brony. That is someone who is a brosif who is in love with ponies, right? Something to that effect.
I mean, just
a brother who's into ponies.
Just watch the show.
Yeah, I mean, I've checked out our Discord. There's some people who are into ponies.
Yes, there are people who are into ponies.
Into ponies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some fan fiction games that are, yikes.
Thanks to whoever posted that. Be interested on their sales metrics on Steam.
But if we haven't scared you away yet, this
just wait.
Book series, it won't take long, combines the world of Fallout and My Little Pony in a series called Fallout Equestria. That's kind of the original text, one of the original texts, and there are derivative texts that stand on their own hooves. This, in particular, is Project Horizons, Fallout Equestria Project Horizons by Somber, the author Somber.
It is similar to Winter in the Willows, which was not written by the man who wrote Wind in the Willows, but actually a fan piece. I think it's like one of the first times that a derivative work was actually kind of put out into the mainstream. That it's the first fan fiction, effectively.
Not all the plays by Shakespeare that weren't actually by Shakespeare.
I mean, those
harder to prove. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yes. So, are there any authors of the Fallout Equestria books that actually go by their real name, or do they all use pseudonyms?
It's an internet thing.
Yeah, well, yes, obviously, I understand that it's an internet thing, but surely there's one person who's like, my name is John Smith, and I really want you to know me. I'm going to dox myself in the author title.
My statement was an inclusive.
Yeah.
In that it was talking about, like, it's a pseudonym in the regards that it is both on the internet and for the stories themselves as writers, because this medium only exists on the internet. So it would be as common as finding an individual on the internet who used their real name.
It only exists on the internet?
Effectively so, yes.
I think there's a big pile of somethings over there that don't exist.
You understand exactly what I'm talking about. But
we brought the story into the material realm. We have summoned it from above. Glory unto thee, K-Cat and Somber.
I mean, that's literally what actually happened, though. They existed in the immaterial before they got popular enough to become manifest.
Do they even exist at all? I'm starting to think that bronies are actually manifesting.
Do any stories actually exist?
Right. I'm actually starting to think that bronies are manifesting things that happen in the show and in Fallout itself.
If bronies had the power to convert the entire world into Equestria, it would be done.
Gross.
I'm sorry. Just saying.
Then we'd have to go habitate with those filthy zebras.
I mean,
actually, I really
Fallout Equestria didn't seem to think so.
Yeah, I really don't have a problem with the zebras, all things considered. But the yaks, like, what's going on there, man?
Horse-based racism.
It's so cute. She thinks she's people.
Oh no. Okay, so shall we actually talk about the chapter?
Yeah. So, quick summary of the chapter. We've just finished with Blackjack and her friend Priest observing several pilgrims sacrificing themselves to Hoofington?
Yeah, the security system.
Hoofington. I almost said Shattered Hoof, and it's not Shattered Hoof. It's Hoofington in this story. And basically, they want to die. He tries to talk them out of it, and then they go kill themselves.
Well, he doesn't do much talking out of. That's kind of the part and the crux of that interaction, where she's like, "You could have actually stopped them. I could." But
Well,
but what would I do?
He
Like, what would-
explains it and justifies it.
Yeah.
He says, in a world without choice, where things are ripped from you all the time, the one choice that you do have, in this case, is in ending your life. You choose the time and the place. You choose to do it painlessly. I mean, I would imagine to be disintegrated within a half second. It's probably, I mean, any pain you experience is quick.
Yeah.
There's no way that you can really writhe in agony. I mean, as much as we know of the nervous system, if you truly were disintegrated like that, you wouldn't be alive long enough to feel it.
Yeah,
you can burn your finger before your brain knows that it's been burned.
Yep.
So-
There is a latency in the neurosystem. So.
Well, technically, when you touch something hot and you snatch your hand back quickly, it's
Yeah,
not your brain
it's
sending
the
the signal.
spine.
It is your lizard brain and your spine. Well, actually, it's technically the worm brain when your spine does that.
Yeah.
And if we did not do that, we had to wait for a signal from our brain to say, "Hey, that's hot. Pull your hand out of there, you
Yeah.
dumbass." We would burn ourselves.
we probably wouldn't last nearly as long,
Yeah.
at least
so-
due to environmental issues.
But I do want to say, Priest said, I try earnestly to tell them not to, but he says, who am I to, like, if this world has no choice, then what is there? In a world where you have so few choices, what am I doing shackle them up and force them to not be able to
Yep.
kill themselves?
Yeah, you can't by force someone to
It's
live.
very priestly to not remove their free will, right? He gives them agency. And basically what we're seeing is that Blackjack lived in an environment without agency, right? So it's like, you're born to do this, you fuck this person.
She does equate
you
it
eat
very
this
heavily.
thing.
Yeah, she does equate it very heavily to the stable. It's like, no.
She's an authoritarian.
Yeah, she absolutely is.
Blackjack is an authoritarian. In fact, she wants everyone else to just do what she's telling them to do.
What they need to do. That's
Yeah.
always how it is. It's not what I want to do. It's what needs to be done. They need to live because they're supposed to live.
Yeah.
The males are supposed to be rape farms.
Yeah, and that she really doubles down with that. in
Yes,
this
she
chapter.
does.
So basically, we observe that, and Blackjack kind of takes her, she's even threatens in her mind to like pull out her gun and hit him or shoot him or something, but then understands a little bit more of the perspective. Not completely, but more like, okay, I guess this is where you're at. But it still pisses her off.
Yeah.
And she's like, but what about Colts and Fillies? And he's like, my only rule is that they must go last. And he says, why do you think the Crusaders are here?
Yep.
The Crusaders are here for the children that see their parents atomized and decide that they don't want to die too.
Yep.
And so then they have a family
Which is
with
a
the
cruelty
Crusaders.
unto itself, really. So it's like you could.
You're saying he's being cruel in doing that?
No, it is a cruelty unto itself in that regard, because what you're doing is, rather than allowing the child to not witness their parents' brutal murder when they don't even understand it, you're kind of it's not that there's a winning. It's not that there's a winning move. There's two different awfulnesses here. It itself is not, I would say, even better, but at least it offers the opportunity for redemption.
There's mercy in it, because children should have the opportunity to grow and make the decision themselves,
Yep.
rather than being like
And
Andrea Yates and drowning all of your children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something. Obviously, there's something very unnatural about an infanticide. I think it's something that makes most people very uncomfortable.
Yes.
As it should. Well, obviously, it's not. In some cultures, it's not. We've talked about on this show before.
We remove them.
Stupid, filthy zebras, right? But we've talked about this.
All
There
we're saying
is
is they eat babies.
morality is subjective, based on the culture with which it exists in.
Yeah, the environment.
Yeah,
I argue that
not
it's subject
purely
with
environmental. Not everyone in the tropics has the same culture.
No, but it is.
That's like saying somebody in Hawaii has the same cultural in subtropical India. Right?
No. Yeah, no. Well, that's also an island versus a peninsula.
Okay, then let's pick one of the Polynesian islands. They
Yeah.
don't all have the exact same culture.
No.
The movie Moana that everybody loves so much, not only the thing that they don't focus on in the story is the intense inbreeding and cannibalism.
Yeah.
Not to mention incestuous relationships.
Well, the inbreeding.
Yeah, but so inbreeding is one thing. Inbreeding could just be a first or second cousin.
Yeah.
But there literally was like familial incest.
Oh, yeah.
In those as well. That's the problem with island cultures. Small gene pool.
Hey, my mom has got it going.
Yeah. Doesn't help the IQ quotient. to be
Well,
fucking your sister.
I mean, it only becomes a quotient at that point.
When your family tree looks like a shrub, it's not
Yeah.
a good idea.
Div 2.
Yeah, it's not great. How did we get down that path? Well, anyways, children, innocents, having power and agency over what they could do. So anyways, that ticks off Blackjack. But then she runs across her zebra friend, or the closest thing that she could say to a zebra friend, or the closest thing she could have to a friend, I should say, who the deaf zebra and her child that she freed from the camp, who was finally able to tell her the story of how she wound up in a chapel, right?
Yeah.
And essentially, they were dragging her on her cart, and P21 was pissed off, and then they came across one of the other P guy or U guy.
Well, she had already gone into the memory orb by that point.
Well, yeah, they were trying to shut her up. She got into the memory orb, but they actually come across the other
U21.
U21, right? Who's from the stable, and he and P21 were talking, and he's basically like, why would you help her? And she's just disgusting, and all
She's
mares.
a filthy mare.
Yeah, you should just give her up. And then when they essentially refuse to give her up, then they all get jumped. There's a battle. The Enclave shows up as well, and the zebra, in an effort to, one, save her own flanks, and also maybe save Blackjack, kicks out the brakes from the cart that they're pulling her all on the rails, and she goes off on a wild ride down the hill.
Yeah.
Unconscious, greatly damaged and battered and bruised.
Yep.
And so now we know how she wound up. But the real question there is, how did she fall off the cart and not die? Because the cart would have supposedly continued to careen on down the hill.
Well, it doesn't mean there's not another hill on the other side that I would have to go back up.
Well, it kind of does, because in the end of this chapter, we see where the cart wound up.
Yeah.
So, but anyways. So at some point, she got jostled off and fell off the cart, where she was discovered by Priest.
But don't worry, she finds some alcohol and gets right back on.
That's right. So, but anyways, she then decides, she learns that the Enclave took Morning Glory and went north, and that P21 was taken by, the
U21.
The U21 and his group that's working in cahoots with Deus, right?
Yep.
And so it's like, there's a branching path here. I need to go discover. I need to go find this stuff out. But anyways, so she then kind of says, well, I need to pick a direction. Morning Glory is smarter than I am, and maybe she's probably better to help me than go find P21, because he's going to be in a whole hell of a lot of trouble. And she at least is with people she knows, right? If she was taken by the Enclave, maybe they didn't kill her. So it's a good logical choice. For once, Blackjack actually used some intelligence there.
Yep.
Rolled low intelligence, but there is some intelligence.
No, she rolled high. She just has a base stat of 1.
No, in that instance she rolled. I suppose when I say she rolled low intelligence, I mean initially.
Oh, yeah,
when she rolled her
Special.
Her special, thank you.
Yes.
But anyways, so she goes, and along the way happens upon a group that looked like they would have been people who would have jumped her.
Yeah.
And they are literally completely dismembered. They're like gored and opened up. And she comes to the assumption that something else out here she thinks is protecting her.
Yep.
But she's not positive, because this was a bandit party that looked like it was going to jump her. Mm-hmm. At this time, we also come across a radio broadcast where DJ Pony, is telling the story of the two guys who jumped her in the museum.
Yes.
And they basically are saying, like, don't screw with her. She was unarmored.
Unarmed,
and drunk. She killed everyone.
And gelded me.
She gelded me with a knife. And so it's like, it's DJ Pony's way of saying, like, hey, maybe don't fuck with this person.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. So anyway, she happens along her path. They don't really resolve, unless there's something that I missed, unless it's implied the trap up ahead was connected to this, but there's nothing to imply that it was connected to this.
The pacing there is kind of weird.
Yeah. So anyway, she happens along, continues on the rail line to where she finds the cart overturned, and up ahead there's a little encampment, and in the encampment there's like 4 yellow bars and a whole bunch of other red bars. Mm-hmm. That's implying that there's people that are friendly to her and people that aren't.
Indifferent.
At least for the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And so when she turns up on the scene, there's all these ponies that are duct taped together, tied together, and they even have like guns strapped to them to look like from a distance like they might be a marauding party. There's also a black box, and on that top of that black box is a computer terminal. And then Yeah.
It doesn't look like a trap. Whatever you think, it doesn't look like a trap.
But you know what? It is a trap.
Really?
It's a trap. And
The object of my desire in the middle of a field that's surrounded by rather obtuse-looking things? No.
Some pony that is a member of the Zodiac family, which, again, there's a lot of names that are dropped in this chapter that don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're references to the show.
No. It's references to later in the book.
Okay. Well, we'll hold on to that. But there were references in the memory orb that were absolutely references to the show. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. We should probably expedite this too. She foils the trap. She realizes the person on the speaker, she feeds into her ego and is like, well, tell me, you've caught me. Oh, you caught me. What are your plans? Why is this so Loctite?
You got me to monologue.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, she monologues and says, there's a deadly neurotoxin that will knock you unconscious. And she's like, knock me unconscious? I thought you said it's a deadly neurotoxin. How would it just knock me unconscious? Anyway, while she's chewing on that, she also explains that previously that she's surrounded by mines, and outside the mines, in case she gets clever, there's a whole bunch of sentry bots that are essentially ready to kill her. So she does the dumb thing, which is, lucky and smart, thinking, well, while you're thinking on this little, a challenge that I've given to you, like if it's a neurotoxin, then how's it actually going to kill us, whatever.
Yeah.
She takes a shot at one of the sentry bots, which causes the sentry bots to all charge in over the minefield, blowing up the sentry bots and almost killing them, but not killing them. And also the box that's full of the noxious gas is super light, and so Blackjack basically just kicks it down the hill.
Yeah.
As it starts spewing out gas. She does, however, and I don't remember her name, but the pony, the Zodiac pony, who sprung the trap on her, she's one of many siblings, right?
Yeah.
Of this bounty hunter family, the Zodiacs. And, she's the only one left. And so she pulls out her carbine. Blackjack pulls out her carbine, is going to take a shot. And she decides to not kill her.
Yeah.
But just graze her flank as she runs away and wait till my daddy hears about this.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because that character is so preoccupied with she wants to understand the tech of the pit buck. Which, if only we had a pit buck technician pony somewhere in the wasteland who could educate her.
Yeah.
But this is not that pony.
Well, something tells me that the pit buck technician that's in the wasteland would educate her good.
Oh, yeah, real quick.
Fill her brain up right quick.
So what she does find out from the hostages, and the hostages were also there to capture Blackjack. I'm noticing a theme here. They're like, well, the Enclave have been dug in at this air base north of here. So maybe that's where they're at. And she's like, thanks. And then goes along her way. Yep. Even, thinking maybe I should charge
Quest
them.
update.
Yeah, maybe I should charge them a tax for being saved by the security pony, a security mare. But anyways, what's great is that right as she's about to leave, one of them's like, she's just walking away. We're just going to let her walk away. Shouldn't we get her? And all she hears is them pummeling that dumb gold.
Oh, I was going to make a really hot take there about her charging for security. She's gone straight from authoritarian to libertarian hardcore.
Oh, jeez.
100% capitalist.
Oh, yikes.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Yeah. And for the highways, and for the electricity, and for everything. Well, moving on. So she goes to the airbase, and she thinks, well, there's obviously going to be a bunch of Enclave here. But I don't want to make enemies with them, so let me go in and play dumb and see how they react, because that can't hurt. And, of course, one of them immediately opens fire on her, so she dives under a wagon of some such that she was already investigating because it had ammo crates. By the way, the ammo crates are locked. Guess who can't open ammo crates? And she, in a fight with the Enclave, realizes that, well, if you're a flying pony, wouldn't you be directly above me so that I can't just shoot at you from the sides?
Yep.
So she uses an explosive round, shoots straight up through the wagon, locks her gun on him, and it basically says, go away, parlay.
Yeah.
Can't we talk this out? And they just keep firing. And so she says, all right, 3 bursts of sats, and takes the leg off.
Which unfortunately causes it to lose balance, come down, and
break its neck. Yeah.
Because all she wanted to do was just graze it, just so she could talk to it.
No, of course not. Well, it's a carbine, so whatever it's going to touch is going to kerplode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as well, it kind of goes into the Enclave mentality of, we don't speak to the filthy dirt ponies.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, we're better than you.
Yes.
They're flying Nazis is what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Narses, as Winston Churchill would say. Is there a Winston Churchill in My Little Pony?
I don't believe so, no.
There should be.
There was a very old pony who you could.
We will fight them in the stables. We will fight them in the orchards.
We will fight them in the dales.
Celestia be damned. He's got a big long cigar hanging out of his mouth too. Of course.
It'd be carrot. It would be a carrot.
And he's just fat. Are there fat ponies in the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there is one that that the fandom had rather succinctly named Tumblerina Ham Planet.
Oh, no. No.
It was a very contested name when that happened.
I can only imagine. By the way, I also thought today, they talk about toilets in this world.
Yeah.
What does a horse toilet look like?
I imagine it would actually probably look like a Japanese toilet.
Yeah. But I mean, like, do you ever see toilets in the show? I can't imagine them having like
it
a
probably
bathroom
has.
scene.
I do remember. Lauren Faust pulling a Harry Potter, where all of the horses just poop wherever they want.
Yeah,
and including the Pegasi.
Oh god. So here's the inconsistency thing that bothers me just a little bit. So obviously, they choose when and if they're going to be kind of anthropomorphized, right? Yeah. Sometimes they're on two hooves, and there's activities you would have to do on two hooves, not four. But then there's other times like, well, I can't get back to my battle saddle because of, I'm on four, I'm all fours, right?
Yeah.
And also, they have guns that can only be operated by the mouth, and yet you have a pony that is going to use her hoof to masturbate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I envision is literally a pony sitting on a toilet holding a newspaper, because I feel like that's what the show would do.
Well, there was one episode, and this is a kooky story to go down. It's quite a fun one. So there was one episode where the animators propped up one of the characters as sitting like a normal person.
You showed this to me. He was like sitting on a bench.
Yeah. And so ever since, the portrayal of that character is that they were the opposite, like the Neigh Brony, in that they were really into humans. So they were like a furry of the My Little Pony world, but for humans.
So they're just trying to be more like...
Yes, and so they're kind of a social outcast. And
a toilet that is geared towards equine physique, right?
Yeah, that's why I would go with
the anatomy of a horse. Like you said, it's almost going to look more like a urinal than it's going to be a traditional toilet. It's the kind of thing you kind of back your haunches up into. And then for male horses, it's basically like a Chinese toilet, like a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
That's
why that's the idea of the Japanese toilet, which is, trough.
You realize it would be the opposite for horses than it is for people. So men, we have urinals that we can step up to and pee into, which would be very difficult for women. But for a mare, it would be way easier for them to basically back into a urinal because they pee backwards. But the male horse obviously would pee forward, unless he was, some kind of strange mutilated gelding of some sort.
Yeah, it'd definitely be mutilated.
Yeah. Anyways, food for thought, as they say.
I don't know about food.
Yeah. So let's skip a little bit to the end. She gets into the airbase. She's putzing around. She gets the jump on two guys who are out of their armor, and basically is like, tell me where Morning Glory is. And they're like, well, why don't you find her? And she's like, okay, you're just gonna make this hard. So she tapes them up and ties them up.
Yeah.
And then she puts Wonder Glue on the ground and makes them sit on it. So the only way for them to move would be to literally cut themselves out of their uniforms. It wouldn't mutilate them. They weren't, bare haunched, right?
Well, even if they were bare haunched,
but now I'm imagining like a pony wearing like a flak suit, like like a pilot would, like a fighter pilot.
Yeah,
which I guess it makes sense that the Enclave would do that.
I feel like at that point, there's probably a way to egress the suit that wouldn't like destroy it. That you could just get it off the ground. It would take a while, but
anyways, Blackjack goes up. She has a choice of going down or going up, and she's like, "Well, if I was a flying pony, would I go down into a basement where I couldn't escape, or would I go up where I could dive out of a window and fly away?" That's probably where they are. So she goes up, finds all these rad roaches, kills all the rad roaches, and then there's a memory orb sitting on a railing out on a balcony, and she's like, hey, this is a perfect time for me to grab one of these. Why not?
Ooh, collectible.
And not even thinking, levitates it with her magic, which is just go grab it with your hoof or something. Like that's how you make a connection to me. Like, how many times is Blackjack gonna fall for this dumb? This happened a half dozen times in this story.
High perception, low intelligence.
Really low intelligence.
Really
I
low
know
intelligence.
she told us that she's not a smart pony, but she was not fucking joking. That's not just dumb. That's beyond dumb.
That's like sitting there idly pulling the pin on a grenade just because you're bored.
Yeah. Click, 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 click. Jesus. Anyways, so guess what? She falls into a memory orb and gets captured. But the memory orb is some bullshit about some relationship with some Pegasus.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's just like, I want my memory removed from my head because I watched this person who wouldn't love me back that I loved that died. And yes, it's all characters that I don't know, and I really don't care. We get something that this complement of soldiers has an actual ministry mayor that's assigned to them, a ministry of morale that's like basically a staff psychologist that's supposed to help them with grief and counseling.
Yep.
But in this case, it's like, I'll just rip the memory out of your head because that's what you're demanding me to do. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't do this because it won't heal the wound.
For the good of Equestria.
That's right. For the good of Equestria, we'll rip out your memory so you can get back to killing other zebras.
Exactly.
And so then Blackjack comes to, in a concrete prison, surrounded by Enclave soldiers. And in a plot twist that surprises no one, if you've been paying attention, Morning Glory steps in wearing fresh black uniforms.
You never told me you... Oh, wait, no. Yeah.
She's not a smart pony. She even observed her making calls to the Enclave.
Yeah.
So, and that's the cliffhanger that we live on.
Yep.
So, she now also, perk update.
Yep.
Has finesse, so higher chance of critical hits.
Yep.
So, I feel like the first half of the chapter is better than the second half. I mean, nothing against it, but maybe I'm just expecting these like plot twists. So it's like, oh, where's Morning Glory? Oh, and she steps in and she's in a finely pressed uniform, and it's like, here I am, ha 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 ha. Yes. The cream has turned.
I get the weird.
I'm also not convinced that it's a betrayal yet.
I get the weird feeling from this, and I get the feeling from that specifically, is that the action scenes aren't really what's driving the story at this right now. It may later. It may start blending itself better. It's been a while, and I don't remember that specific about the story. But right now, the first half is more kind of contemplation about how the world works and everything that's going on, and then later it's pretty much just action, tropey dialogue, action.
Gotcha. Well, it's just like, I feel like the dialogue scenes between Priest and Blackjack are so much more real, so much more
interesting,
more thought out.
Well, because it's a philosophical discussion that deals with...
And to that extent, the zebra also has interesting challenges for Blackjack, right? But I also know that writing that type of story and dialogue is tiring, right?
And there's only so far. Reading it can also become tiring if it's nothing but that.
I mean, I thought the sequence where the choir singing in the chapel was one, very well written, but it was incredibly evocative, right? It's supposed to draw you into the same emotions and feelings that Blackjack is being overwhelmed with, and she's not a believer of any kind.
Yeah, and she's even kind of like...
She like searches, she's like, I gotta get out of here, I'm gonna drink the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a little bit of a willful rejection on her part, where she doesn't want, or she wants not to.
By the way, with the flip phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid, I think we need to, when we, as presenters, say it, we need to use the correct term. It was not Kool-Aid.
It was Flavor Aid.
It was Flavor Aid, which was the cheap knockoff, right? So we need to say that they're drinking the Flavor Aid, because I am tired of the name of Kool-Aid being besmirched and being compared and connected to these dangerous cult leaders. Yeah.
I mean, there was the whole fiasco with cherry Kool-Aid and the Heaven's Gate people, but I mean,
I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
What is it with powdered beverages and cultists? You know, I bet you Mormons drink Kool-Aid like crazy. They can't have caffeine, and they don't drink liquor. What's the hot take? That Mormons are a cult? Everybody knows that Mormonism is a cult.
Suddenly we get removed from everywhere.
Who cares? Come at me. You know what?
We get taken out by the Utah State Troopers.
You know, the real person you're not allowed to talk about, it's not George Soros, it's Scientology. Can't talk about them.
I'm sorry, Will Smith who?
So, all in all, good chapter. I'm interested to see where this is going. But like I said, my guess doesn't count because you've already read the story. But my guess is that this is not like the betrayal that it's cast at the end of the chapter.
It is, if I recall what happens next correctly, you will be interested, you will be surprised, but also not simultaneously. If we are where we think we are.
Okay.
Where I think we are. Yes.
So, my friends, we have reached that time again.
What time?
The time. The only time there ever is on this show. The one time that we can all count on, where we can come together and bring the light together and shine. The warmth of Celestia's love all over everyone. In the Pony Pun of the Week!
I almost thought you were going for padding for advertising revenue at this point.
God, I wish we had advertising revenue.
And we're going to have ads anyway. Thanks, Susan.
Don't forget to get your code for Raid Shadow Legends.
Friendship.
I don't know. Is there something in the clause against calling your viewers
Magic.
pets while saying get Raid Shade Red?
I don't know, but we'll find out. So, Chris, what's the Pony Pun of the Week? Oh, you didn't bring the Pony Pun of the Week with you?
I assumed you did.
I thought you had the Pony Pun of the Week here.
I'm sure I can come up with something. Let's see.
I literally thought we had enough Pony Pun of the Week here, but I also thought we had enough coffee here for the episode today.
I ran out of coffee. I can't help it.
I cannot function without caffeine, guys. I am running on so little sleep. You have no idea. You have no idea.
What is a fantastic dish in Equestria without a dessert dish without the best possible cheese to put onto it?
What's the best possible cheese in Equestria to put onto it?
Mascarpone cheese.
Gross! Mascarpone cheese?
Mascarpone cheese.
Oh, God.
I could have gone with mascarpone, but you got to be glad I didn't.
I like mascarpone better. That's a double pun.
Mascarpone. Go with it, kids.
Where do they get the mascarpone cheese?
The cows that talk.
Okay, that's just dumb. It's mascarpone cheese. It should be from lactating mares. That's what it should be from.
You heard it here first. Apparently, everybody else is weird for getting the dating simulator on Steam that's got ponies in it, and here this guy's thinking about lactating mares.
You know, there's a lot of lactation going on in my house right now.
There is.
Yeah.
Mostly from you.
Listen. Drop it. Oh, my friends. Thank you for joining us. Look at this. Look at this. We're actually kind of staying on an episode a week. Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
We're experiencing
getting
some
there.
technical difficulties that
Hey,
hopefully
man.
don't stop us from continuing.
I'm here. You're here. We're all here together. Join us on the Discord. That's really where the real party's at. And you can find out about the dumb hentai My Little Pony games that people decide to share. You could go download them and play them if you want to give money to bad people who deserve bad things to be done to them. You can always email us at cbpbch@gmail.com. If you are listening to us on the podcast version of this, check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/CriscoCast. And if you're watching us, go download the podcast. I actually take the time to clean up the audio and edit it together and download it there. So if you ever want to listen to us on the go, we are available on the go. Every single episode, all the episodes are available. You don't have to pay us to have access to old episodes or different seasons. There's just every episode we've made is available there. And there's bonus content in there too. Because our the other series that's running concurrently is also on the exact same podcast. So Foley of Man Prey is available in the same podcast download. If you like what we do here on the show and would like to support us, please consider following us and supporting us on Patreon or Subscribe Star. Every little bit helps us pay for the server costs. We currently make enough to help pay for the Libsyn for hosting the podcast. And those of you that support us, we appreciate it immensely. And for those of you who are part of the family part of the Discord, what's the name of the actual, you've actually supported the show area?
Can't remember.
Yeah. But anyways, but also to get into that part of the Discord, you don't have to give us money. You just have to contribute. You have to support the show. Support
Contributors.
us.
There we go.
That's
That
right.
was the
Contributors. That's what it is. So I just want to say, though, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for giving us an opportunity and lending us your ears and your rears to insert the fun knowledge that we have here. So, for Chris, I'm Robert. This has been the Foley of Man, and we will see you next time.
It's all over, but the cry.
Were you doing the caramel dance and dance?
Oh, can we talk about how your hair makes you look like that guy who, Billy or whatever his name, who like cheated at Donkey Kong? Can we just talk about that?
How dare you? How dare you?
I mean, I'm not any better. Look at this.
He didn't just cheat at Donkey Kong. He cheated at Pac-Man.
I thought he also cheated the legal system
Oh yeah, of course.
with frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah.
We didn't name who he was, so he can't come after us. Suck a dick.
That's enough. That's enough.